let's do some cooking right here. You see on line right there, we have line number 3, we have a function add, and then next to it, right below line 7, we have a function curry. Do you know what the function curry does? If you don't know, it's actually a quite util function when you start doing a lot of functional programming. And I bet some of you are watching it and say, I've never heard about it, or I heard about it, but I've never used that. But you could actually use that. There is a way that the curry function you can make your code much easier to write or just maintain. And I'm not going to force you into anything. I just want you to have that open mind while we're going through this process. Which process? The process here is, as a software engineer, when you want to become better, you're writing code every day, you're building apps here and there. One thing I did, or I hope you do, is to say, oh, do I need that library? In this case, for example, I need a curry, and I'm like, oh, Lodash has a function curry in it. And then I stop and I think, okay, let's use it because I need to deliver that code, deliver it, and then I take a step back and I'm like, what did you do, curry? Well, what are you doing behind the scene? And I'm going to guide you through the process of doing it right here, how I go about learning the internal API so I become just better understanding which pattern is being used behind the scene. And the curry function, boy, it's cooking. I'm not kidding, it's cooking. It has a lot of internal things, from closure in JavaScript, from using things like recursion. If you understand this thing, like if you use that already, you're gonna see how just a simple function like a curry function can bring this thing together. So let me guide you here quickly. As you can see here, the function curry takes as a, it's basically, if you go from here to there, it's first a function, right? It takes, and then its argument, the first argument right there, and the only argument is the function that will be curried. So what it does, it says, hey, you have a function add, and that function has many arguments. So, and you will say, okay, I don't have access to all these arguments at the same time. And the curry said, you know what, no worries, give me the function, and from there it will return another function that will then expect the first argument. In this case, we just pass the x, and then it's like, okay, I'm returning, you see right there, it says it's still returning a function right here. So then it says, okay, give me a second argument. I'm gonna give you 5. It's like, okay, I'm not done, because the 5 represents the y right there. And then it goes, the next one, give me 9. Or give me, let's say we want to make it 10, so we're gonna say 3 here. So give me 3, and then at that exact moment, the curry realizes that it has all the 3 arguments it needed to actually execute the function, and then it executes that. Okay, there are, once again, plenty of scenarios where you could use it. Here, I want to walk you once again through the process of building it from scratch. So what we're going to do is to get rid of the dependency at the top. I know, that's scary, but that's the way you do it. And then from there, you're like, okay, let me build that function. We're not gonna need this implementation, this way of writing, and we're just gonna go here and create a curry function. Now, that curry function, what does it do? As we saw right there, it takes one argument. Literally, it takes one argument. And that argument is a function. That function takes something that looks like this. So if we look at it, let me just put a void here. So if we mimic the add function, which is going to be a number that is being returned for now. Now, the thing indeed is like the add function will take multiple parameters. So let's go here and say it's gonna take multiple parameters. In our case, we kind of know that these are numbers, right? If you're a TypeScript developer, I know you're right there thinking, Gabby, why don't you use an unknown? Stay with me, I'm coming there. Then, what we're doing is to say, from that point on, we want to be able to make sure that each time that function is being called, right, once we have the curry add, so the first part is being called, so this one. Once it's called, it should return a function. So let's implement that. So what we're going to do is just going to return a function that we're gonna call, and that function there will do something really specific for us. So by now, if I go right here and I remove the second argument, the last two parameters that are passed, let me go here. We should see that it says undefined, and then the 2 here is red. So let's go there and pass something here that basically is going to be the argument being passed. But that there won't be scalable if we start putting it like that, because we're gonna go manually and add all of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to assume that a certain number of parameters will be passed right there. And the way I'm going to do that is by just saying that we're gonna give you a certain number of parameters. Let's assume that we're still working with numbers right there. Right, now you see on line 6, everything is fine, it's not complaining at all. Now, what we would like to do is to work toward a scenario where we make sure that we're going to accumulate all the variables, all the parameters that will be passed to the function and that are needed to run the initial function fn right there. So fn is a function, how many arguments that function takes, and once we reach the number of arguments, then we execute that function. So the way we can think about it here is basically say, let me do this, let me make sure that I'm not in the way. Yeah, I think that should work. I think this should work. So what are we doing here? We're basically saying that we're going to have a certain number of arguments. So what I'm gonna do, I'm first gonna just check that if the number of arguments, let's take what Copilot is telling us right there, and let's think about it for a second. Basically saying like, okay, we have the argument that will be passed right there. If their number is higher than the number of arguments that fn receive, which means that then we reach the point where we have, let's say in that case 3 and then 3, then it means that we're done. We got it. We should just execute that part. Otherwise, right there, we should just then return a function that's gonna take a few arguments, and then we'll do something like this. Okay. So let's think about it for a second right there. So we have this and this way. Okay. So let's think about it once more time. I use Copilot here, but the point there is you need to understand what is happening even with Copilot helping you, right? So I'm gonna walk you through that, and hopefully you understand the concept in JavaScript that we're using that can help you write better code. So once again, the first one here is basically this idea of like the current one will receive arguments. So like you see here, it's the current one receiving 2, and then it will receive 3, and then it will receive 5, for example. How does that work? How is this working? Right, it's working because the first time it receives it, so let me put the log here for the child. It's going to receive this argument one after the other, right there. As you see, there's the 2, and then 2, 3, and then 2, 3, 5. So that's just the argument that it received. As it receives it, we're basically saying, is that length higher than? If yes, yeah, just call that one. Period. If not, we then go here and say, let's return a function. We're gonna return a function, and the function which return will then call in a recursive way the current function with a combination of arguments, the previous one that were already passed plus the new one. And then we go back into that loop, that kind of loop. And then from there we go back here and say, oh, now let's check again. And from the moment that thing is equal or higher than the length, so that mostly equal there, it will then stop there and make the call. And as you can see here, that thing is working, right? It's working actually really well right there. Now, this is basically it. from that point on, I want to show you the JavaScript concepts that are covered there and that will literally open so that you can leverage them in your own code. So the first one is this idea of closure. A closure is basically this idea of like you have a function, a parent function, and then a child function, and the child function it's being returned in a way. So in this case, the parent here, you can think of it as the query here is the parent function, right? So this one will be the parent, and so that's basically the parent function there. So and then this one, the queried one here is going to be the child function there. So we have a relation parent-child, and the child is being returned. That is already the first concept that is being covered in this thing. The red thing there is basically TypeScript complaining about the signature. So forget about it. I will make a small video explaining how you can fix that in TypeScript. Okay, so that's already the first concept. The second concept there is, well, you know, when you have a function, any function, let's go here and say const add fn, and then we basically say we're gonna give it xyz, and then that's it. So that's basically a function. If you go and console log this function, and you want to know what is the length, the number of arguments it received, you can just go add fn.length, and once you do that, it's gonna set 3, right? Same thing here. If I go and remove that, we actually don't need to return anything here. We don't really care about that. What we care about is the number of arguments, right? So basically, you see, as I'm changing them, it just goes zy, s, y. It just keep incrementing right there. So that is another concept that is not really hard, but it's something to know. Like, how can you know the number of arguments that are being passed? Now, so that's already another one. That's where we're leveraging that. So where we can know the number of arguments the previous one has received. Now, the other one that we're using there is the recursion, right? So right there we have a function and recursion. So that one here is being called again and again until the final case is being reached. Where is the final case? It's right there. That's where the breaking case is. So as long as that line isn't reached, it just keep on looping and looping and looping until it's done. Did I just say looping? Yes, you can actually use the recursion to loop through a set of things, right? There are many examples that we have where you can learn how to use that. So I might have missed a few concepts here, but these are the ones that, yeah, are necessary to build such a thing, right? This code comes from the GEMS platform, where there are a lot of exercises. You can just go there and learn a lot about writing code, especially in JavaScript. We're integrating other technology in there, but at least you get those. It's just a game. You learn, you build code, and then you learn how the mechanism works. It will make you better. And you know what's gonna make you better right now is that subscribe button. No, okay, let me put it again this way. There is a button right there. It's called subscribe. And because you like that video, yeah, I know, you click like. Because you like it, you need to subscribe. And I will make sure that each week I bring you these videos. We go in depth, hands-on, no bullshit. Did I say no bullshit? Cheers. See ya. Bye.